everyone. Welcome back again to the hub of latest Manchester United news updates. Let's get started. Ruben AMORIM saw his team's poor form continue in the capital. Gary Neville issues time warning as Ruben AMORIM doubts emerge internally. Ruben AMORIM's Manchester United struggles continued at the weekend, and Gary Neville fears that he will need several transfer markets before he can get the team ready to challenge. Manchester United's issues continued in North London on Sunday as they were beaten by Tottenham. Ruben AMORIM has now lost a staggering 8 times since taking over in November, with the Red Devils languishing in 15th. His tactics are yet to have an impact, with injuries also playing a major factor. Ahmad was the latest man to go down and will miss the remainder of the campaign. Questions continue to be asked over the club's immediate future as they continue to slide down the table, with AMORIM defiantly insisting he can turn things around, despite confessing "my job is so hard" after they were beaten in the capital. January failed to result in many new arrivals, with the club's hierarchy still considering how they can raise funds ahead of a summer rebuild. Here's the latest from the red half of Manchester. Neville's transfer warning. Gary Neville insists it could take up to 3 transfer windows before United, under AMORIM, are equipped to challenge. The team are currently tumbling down the table, and the new manager has been unable to find the necessary answers. He's been quick to implement his 3-4-3 system, but he doesn't have the player needed to play it effectively. The uniqueness of the players needed means that there is no quick fix at Old Trafford, with Neville adamant time will be needed. He told Sky Sports, "How quickly can AMORIM not just get good players in, but get players who can fit into this system? It's a peculiar system, 3-4-3. It's a system where you've got to find 2 midfield players who are good enough to play with each other and cover a lot of ground. You got to find 3 center backs, with 2 of the outside ones capable of playing out wide in the fullback areas when the wingbacks go forward. So you're asking for specialists throughout the team. It's not like other systems, which are a little bit more forgiving. How quickly can AMORIM and the recruitment team at United get to a point where they can adapt this squad into a 3-4-3 squad? It's going to be a minimum of 2 to 3 transfer windows because of the investment that's been made, and we know clubs on the edge of PSR. Rio Ferdinand can only see 1 win in Man Ud's final 13 outings. Ferdinand fears for relegation. Rio Ferdinand concedes he can only see his former side winning one of their final 13 games as talk of relegation continues. The Portuguese manager himself had to address talk of potential relegation when they lost to Newcastle in December. AMORIM claimed, "It is a possibility. We have to be clear with our fans." United have lost 8 of their last 12 games and currently sit 12 points above Ipswich Town, who are in 18th. Having dissected their remaining fixtures, the former United defender admits that a result against Leicester City is the only game he's confident about, as he fears for their future. He said on his podcast, "The only place I potentially see us getting anything, and I'm not even saying a win, is Leicester. We've slapped up Leicester a couple of times already this season, so we've got their number." The players at Old Trafford are beginning to have doubts over Ruben AMORIM's tactics. AMORIM tactics questioned internally. Some players on the red half of Manchester are said to be losing confidence in AMORIM's tactics as results continue to go against them. The Red Devils have averaged a match every 4 days since his first game, affording the new manager limited time on the training ground to implement his system. AMORIM won't change his approach, which he's continued to underline, a stance which is being questioned inside the dressing room. The Daily Mail reports that a section of United's squad believes that even when they win, it's largely down to individual moments of quality or good fortune, rather than AMORIM's tactics proving to be a success. A source said, "The feeling is we got away with one, but we might not be so lucky next time." Manchester United tipped to lose every game except one, as Rio Ferdinand reveals Red Devils' relegation fears. An alarming stat about Everton is revealed below. Rio Ferdinand fears that Manchester United might not win again in the Prem this season. The Old Trafford legend has no confidence in Ruben AMORIM's side, who are still in the Europa League and FA Cup, but only 12 points clear of the drop zone. Rio Ferdinand believes Manchester United could genuinely suffer relegation this season. Ferdinand can't see United winning any more games bar one. In fact, the former center-back has expressed fears of a potential relegation to the Championship. United are rotting in 15th place in the table after losing for the 12th time this season following a 1-0 defeat by fellow horror show Spurs. The 12 defeats are the most from their first 25 matches of a league campaign since 1973-74, which ended in the club being relegated. Ferdinand, 46, said on his YouTube channel, "Only Wolves and West Ham separate my club from the relegation places. Do you realize we're that close? Someone said we need 11 points just to stay up. I've got the fixture list. Everton away, Ipswich at home, Arsenal and Nottingham Forest away, before hosting Man City and going to Newcastle away. And then Wolves, Bournemouth, Brentford, Chelsea, Aston Villa, Leicester. The only place I see us getting anything, and I'm not even saying a win, is Leicester. I'm not seeing wins. That's the problem. 1 month ago, Everton were 9 points adrift of the Red Devils, but have now climbed a point above them in the table under the new manager-bounce leadership of David Moyes. Ferdinand's nerves come after United endured their 8th Prem defeat under AMORIM, who joined the historic club in November. A couple of wins would of course ease those concerns and leave United on track for what must be now regarded as a best-case scenario, mid-table obscurity with some deep runs in the FA Cup and Europa League. But a fresh injury crisis threatens to complicate an already dire situation. AMORIM, 40, was without 12 squad players at Spurs, including Amad Diallo, Kobbie Mainoo, Manuel Ugarte, and Christian Eriksen. Meanwhile, Wolves will continue fighting and put in a stunning second-half display against Liverpool on Sunday. In fact, Vitor Pereira's side could have got something out of the game, which finished 2-1 after restricting the Prem leaders to 0 attempts in the second 45 minutes. With 29 points after 25 games and 31 points behind leaders Liverpool, United are now only 2 spots above the drop. £63 million Victor Gyökeres deal, Paul Pogba returns, Manchester United summer transfer plan decided. The latest Manchester United transfer news and opinion as the summer transfer window could be a big one for Ruben AMORIM following the latest defeat against Tottenham at the weekend. It's been a difficult season for Manchester United, with Ruben AMORIM having a big job on his hands to turn the side around following his arrival back in November. His side fell to their latest defeat on Sunday as they were on the wrong end of a 1-0 scoreline against Tottenham Hotspur. James Maddison's first-half goal proved to be the difference between the two sides. The defeat leaves United in 15th place in the Premier League table, having lost 3 of their last 4 games in the competition. If AMORIM didn't know the scale of the job he was taking on when he arrived, then he will now. A lot of work will take place in the upcoming summer transfer window. It will give the manager a chance to shape his squad and bring in some more of his own players as well as potentially sell others. So, what should the summer transfer window look like for AMORIM and United? Our writers have their say. Amy Wilson. Victor Gyökeres is a name who has been constantly linked with United since the appointment of AMORIM, and I think he's a signing who could make a big difference to the team. The Sporting striker is an out-and-out goal scorer, something that United don't currently have in their squad. While he had an £84 million release clause, reports suggest that Sporting are ready to accept bids of around £63 million for the player. The game against Spurs saw United create some chances that they were unable to take, and it's not the first time this season that that's been the case. The arrival of a new striker would allow Joshua Zirkzee to leave, either on loan or on a permanent basis. In terms of sales, I think most players could be candidates to leave, apart from a select few. One of them is Amad. He has proven his importance in key parts of games this season, and United will hope he can recover from injury and refine that form at the start of next season. While captain Bruno Fernandes has not had the best of seasons so far, if AMORIM can get him returning to his best, then he will remain key to United, especially if he has Gyökeres up front, who will thrive on the service he can provide. Jack Flint-Ham. In my opinion, there is a no-brainer transfer that United need to be looking at in the summer transfer window, and that is Victor Osimhen. A player of his quality for less than £70 million is unheard of, and considering United have splashed £80 million plus on unproven talent previously, surely the Nigerian makes sense. United need to add to their midfield again in the summer, but I would be steering clear of Paul Pogba. How many more times do they need to fall into the trap door before they learn their lesson? Another center back will likely need to be added with Victor Lindelof and Johnny Evans on their way out. However, in my mind, it would be extremely foolish not to prioritize the strike force in the summer, and that means potentially signing 2 new strikers. In a dream world, Victor Gyökeres would be the second striker added, but I think in reality it is more likely that it will be either Osimhen or the Swede. As we sit here today, I would be pushing for the current Galatasaray striker if I was Ruben AMORIM, Jake Stokes. At the very least, Manchester United need to sign a new striker, attacking midfielder and a holding midfielder. Ruben AMORIM has a clear idea of how he wants to play, so it's now on the higher-ups at Old Trafford to bring in the right players who can transform the club's fortunes. Up top, United need to sign a world-class striker. Without qualification to the Champions League, it'll be difficult, but not impossible. Having previously worked with AMORIM at Sporting, Victor Gyökeres should be the priority target. By signing him, United would be sending out a clear message to the rest of Europe. Other top players who may have had doubts about joining would quickly realize United are back in business, so to say. Looking at attacking midfielders who can play alongside either Alejandro Garnacho or Joshua Zirkzee in that inside forward number 10 role behind the striker, United should go for Florian Wirtz or Xavi Simons. Of course, they'd be difficult to sign, but that's the point. They're both top class. If they can't bring in the aforementioned duo, Mohamed Kudus would be a very good and probably more realistic option. Next, United need a holding midfielder to sit just behind and complement Bruno Fernandes. AMORIM already has Manuel Ugarte, but the Portuguese tactician also needs some height in the middle of the park. United should go for Angelo Stiller from Stuttgart. Paul Pogba wouldn't have been a bad option a year ago. Bruno Rice, I think it's a no-zero-brainer that United must sign a new attacker in the summer, and Victor Gyökeres should be at the top of their list, especially as he is likely to be available for a lower price at the end of the season. And if anything, United have got an advantage over other potential suitors. Given the relationship AMORIM holds with the Swedish star from their time at Sporting Clube de Portugal. It is widely known in Portugal that AMORIM was the main factor for Gyökeres to join the Portuguese giants over any other club. AMORIM played a significant part in convincing him to join, and who's to say AMORIM can't do it once again? Another name being strongly linked with a return to Old Trafford is Pogba. While he played a significant role for United in previous years, I think that boat has sailed, and the club should focus on developing and bringing in younger talent. In terms of sale, I think the likes of Casemiro, Christian Eriksen, Johnny Evans are all candidates to leave Old Trafford, as cutting costs continue to be at the forefront of Sir Jim Ratcliffe and coach Josh Holland. I think the priority for United has to be in improving the positions in the final third. A new striker and attack-minded midfielder to sit behind have to sit at the top of their list for the new season. Victor Gyökeres is the obvious name to come in and replace Højlund and Zirkzee. However, other clubs are scouting the striker, and with the likelihood of no European football at Old Trafford next season, they miss out. Furthermore, I think the midfield is thin. Injuries to Kobbie Mainoo and Manuel Ugarte left AMORIM so short, so you'd expect they'd look at adding numbers to that position. In a best-case scenario, United would sign a player who is capable of playing in holding midfield as well as further forward. Talk of Pogba making a surprise return hasn't been a popular one, and there is a fair case as to why supporters wouldn't want to see him back. However, the state of United's midfield, with Casemiro likely to depart, and Christian Eriksen leaving, Pogba's third spell at Old Trafford wouldn't be the worst piece of business they could do. Plenty of players should be sold, obviously. But seeking a solution to Marcus Rashford and Antony are the two most pressing pieces of business needed to ensure no saga drags on throughout the window. Matty Hewitt. How long have we got? United need to strengthen a number of positions while bringing down the wage budget and complying with PSR. That won't be easy. Only last week AMORIM said that United needed to sell players before they can buy, and it makes sense to be looking to offload the likes of Casemiro, Lindelof, Eriksen, and Evans, though the latter three are approaching the end of their Old Trafford contracts, and the club won't be able to recoup much financially. The Portuguese boss needs to address the striker position as an urgent matter, while depth in defense will also be needed if those aforementioned players leave. Jonathan Tah is set to become a free agent in the summer and would be a decent bit of business so long as his wages aren't extortionate. The same applies for Jonathan David up front from Lille. Signing him on a free in the summer would be a good piece of business, given it's unlikely they'll have the funds to sign a superstar up front. Gyökeres and Osimhen are two standout stars linked with the club, but much of that will depend on whether Rashford leaves on a permanent deal, along with Antony. United need more depth in central midfield and in the number 10 positions, but the likelihood of a complete overhaul across the squad is unrealistic. Isaac Silochan. It will obviously take United several transfer windows to get things right, but they should start seeing improvements next season if they get the right players in. Victor Gyökeres is an obvious answer to United's goal-scoring problems if he is willing to join. However, recent reports have claimed that interest on both sides has cooled, leaving the Reds in a difficult position. Which top striker would join United in their current situation? It's hard to see Alexander Isak being keen. The lure of Champions League football may lure Gyökeres, of course, something which is only likely to happen through United winning the Europa League. The combination of playing in Europe's elite competition and working with AMORIM again may persuade the Swedish striker to join. Midfield will be the other critical area that needs strengthening, with Christian Eriksen out of contract in the summer and Casemiro looking increasingly out of his depth at this stage of his career. Elsewhere, wingback must be considered if AMORIM is to succeed. Patrick Dorgu's arrival in January is a start, but only that, and United may need to hope that Marcus Rashford and Antony will leave on a permanent deal to fund more transfers.